Hey guys, so today I'm going to do my review of Pokemon Go. I wanted to wait a little bit until we got more of a stable version, I guess, of the game. Server issues are still existing, but that's to be anticipated with a game like this. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a little review. We already know that there's going to be more content that comes out for it as we go on. They've already said that, but what they're trying to get the focus to be right now is the servers for one, and for two, to release it in all countries worldwide. That's been their biggest challenge, which I admit is a hell of a challenge because way more people wanted to play this than they probably thought. So let's get on with it and discuss some things. We're going to talk about some things here and there that I've heard, my feelings on how things are working. I'm not really one to get bothered by something like server issues and quit the game forever. I'm more of an adult than that. That's right, I said it. And so I can deal with that. I just look forward to seeing updates and consistency come out, which honestly, I haven't had server issues at all. I played for about 4 hours yesterday and didn't have one single freeze, no crash, no nothing. So I can see where improvements are being made, and that's all that matters to me. So, before we begin, I have the page up here so you guys can kind of see. It's kind of serving as my way to remember what all to cover because I don't want to forget too much stuff either. But there's not a whole lot to the game really as it is, and I wanted to put up some footage of it being played, but I didn't want to record other streamers' footage or whatnot without permission and blah 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 blah. And I was gonna try and do it on my phone, but that was not happening either, especially with my cell service. So we'll just go with this format for now and call it good. So, first thing we see here is get up, get out, and explore. That's the big thing with this, is you have to be pretty much active to get anything out of it. It does use the meter in your phone to know when you're walking or moving. Apparently, it can keep track of the speed as well, so if you go too fast, it's gonna take it as you being in a car, which is interesting. They do have a lot of things that they preface on here to not use it while you're driving, riding a bike, etc. But there's also some things that kind of make it so you can't really play as efficiently in a vehicle or a moving, object like that as opposed to walking or running. So that's kind of a nice way for them to put up that block, and I appreciate that. However, I found myself leaving it on to see where gyms are and stuff. But luckily, Google Maps are starting to form to where I don't need to do that anymore. So, as we go down, you can see the map. The map's pretty in depth in places. Other places, it's not. We do know that Niantic used to be owned by Google, and so it's not a surprise to see a Google Map type map, without having to say that word too much, like Dora the Explorer. It's not too strange to see a map that looks like Google Maps. It's really not. They probably have a hand-in-hand partnership with this, and it's pretty accurate from what I've seen in terms of roads and access ways and all that stuff. So it's a good map to go by. I mean, it's nothing crazy. Hopefully they expand more on it. I'd like to see them include like street names on there or directions, things we have in Google Maps that would actually be helpful when we're just walking around or exploring new areas. The thing that I find interesting is if you don't know much about the area you're in, you're not going to really know where the stops and the gyms are because those are landmark based. And so it'd be kind of nice if Google Maps could help us in that area if we go traveling or something, like when I go to TwitchCon, to know where things are without having to just walk around aimlessly and hope I find something. The other thing that would be nice is if it could expand the map more than just an in and out drag. If you could go into like a free view mode or something, that would be really nice, and that would help make the experience a little bit better. But in terms of the map interface itself, it works the way it's supposed to. There's nothing super fancy. You see Pokestops, you tap on them. You see a gym, you tap on it. You see a Pokemon, like you can see in this screen example here, you tap on it, it takes you into the battle. I mean, there's not really there's no need for convolution in this map, and they did it just pretty simple. The UI design is very simple, and it's good that it's very simple. They could put a lot of crap on here and make it a pain, but they don't, and that's good. So moving down here, we get to encounters. So I have not seen one of these things yet, which is unfortunate, but I haven't been around water much. Also unfortunate. So encountering Pokemon is pretty much where you can get into habitats. Glowing areas, they're called habitats. They indicate where Pokemon are. Happens at different times, when it's really hot out, when there's a storm out, when you're near water, when you're in a park, just things of that nature. There's these habitats. It's not too self-explanatory when you're in a habitat, aside from the glowing area you'll see in the bottom right when you're playing. But other than that, you just kind of have to walk around, honestly, and find them. But that's when you get into these encounters more often than none. When you're just walking around throughout, like, cityscape, or just doing normal things through a suburban area, you mostly just find the standard normal Pokemon like Rattatas and Pidgeys, and that's really about it. You have to go out to these more specific locations to really find these more habitat-like areas with more rare Pokemon. You can usually find that too by Pokestop frequency, I've noticed. So if you're at an area with, 10 Pokestops within a mile-by-mile radius, there's going to be a lot more Pokemon spawns on top of the types and rarities of Pokemon you'll find. And so that's kind of a good indication when you're going out hunting for specific types, or like me, trying to build the Pokedex a little bit more. Those are the areas you kind of need to focus on. So when you're starting out, you can just walk around, hit up some parks and stuff like that, but you really need to start looking into the more popular or congested almost areas to find those more rare types, I think, anyways. Moving down, we get into favorite habitats. This is kind of hit or miss in my opinion. They still need to fine-tune this a little bit. It's more of a reference point, I guess you could say. If you read on here, it gives you examples. From my experience, these habitats aren't just one or the other. They kind of mix a little bit. So when you're at a beach or at a pier, you're more likely to find water-type Pokemon, it says, which is exactly how you need to think about it. Because you will find water types, but you will still also find your Pidgeys and all those other bitches, and some occasional things here and there. The last time I went for a walk around the hike, I caught 2 water Pokemon, and then the Charmander showed up, but it was a really hot day, so, they kind of mesh with each other, so you kind of have to play it right, but be patient. That's the biggest thing. Moving on down to the Pokestops. The best thing about these are free items. So they're landmarks, interesting places, monuments, arts. At least here, a lot of our public art community pieces have been Pokestops, which is actually really cool to see. Nice to get that art awareness out there. But basically what these are points for you to set up a lure module, which attracts Pokemon to that area for all players of the game, which is nice, but they cost money. That's the only way you get them. Or just for items, like you see on this screen example here. So when you do, it drops some items. You just tap on the item to pick them up, and they're free and they're yours. So it's kind of a way to avoid the pay-to-win idea. You can really farm Pokestops for all the items you need. In my opinion anyways, if you just don't focus on Pokemon for maybe an hour or so and hit as many Pokestops as you can, you'll be set for a day's worth of play. Essentially, depending on luck, it does have an RNG factor into it, but for the most part, if you're running low on something, that's a good way to replenish it pretty quickly. I've noticed they occasionally drop eggs, but they more often than none drop Pokeballs, and so that's the essential part there, is that it will help you to catch more Pokemon, and then give you those bits and pieces of little extra goodies here and there. So it's not even at all. You almost always get a Pokeball, at least one, at every Pokestop. So moving on, loading up your bag. A lot of this is items that we've seen in the game, which is nice. It gives you a description of what you've done, etc., or what you have gotten. Sorry, different train of thought. I was looking what's next. It gives you all the items. We've seen them before. Nothing too different. They work almost exactly like they do in the games. The only thing to note here is an item limit, which you can buy space for real money. Well, real money to Poke Coins, and then, yeah. But basically, there's a limit on the amount of items you can carry. You can pay money, which isn't too expensive, honestly, to get more space. I think it's maybe equivalent to about $2.50 after you purchase the coins. So you can do this for items and Pokemon, but essentially, as you just walk around, you find items. Every time you level up, you get some items, so the item limit goes up pretty fast, but it stores quite a bit too. So they work in that way. If you're like me, I haven't done gyms too much, so I have a shit ton of potions and revives. So every now and then I'll go up and hit up a gym and just attack it and train for a little bit so I can use up some of those items. Because I don't do gyms very much, and we'll cover that in a little bit. Moving on down is a leveling up system. So the leveling up system wasn't super important to me at first, and I quickly realized that that train of thought was stupid. As you level up, you get items for free. That's the first thing. The second thing is new types of items unlock. So at level, I believe, 10 or 15, the Great Ball unlocked, and the berries unlocked. And as you go on further, those type of like hyper potion and up, they become available to you. And so that was important. The other thing is the kinds of Pokemon you experience and encounter is very dependent on what level you are. It's not specific, it's not too confirmed how much, but it definitely has an impact. When you're going through the first 5 levels before you hit the gym, you'll maybe find a CP level of over 100 if you're lucky. Whereas now, where I'm at 16, I only see 1 to 200s and 300s even, and actually a couple 400s recently, which is surprising. So as you level up, you find stronger Pokemon, and you find stronger items to go with those stronger level Pokemon. The other thing that's nice is you find more evolved forms of Pokemon as well. It's not super confirmed, this is just in my experience. You'll start running less into Pidgeys and a couple more Pidgeotos here and there as a bit of a surprise. You know, Charmeleon instead of Charmander. You know, I've seen a lot of Metapods lately instead of Caterpies, so I think that has an influence on it too. And CP level caps out at a certain amount for the lower evolution of Pokemon. So the higher that CP goes, the more evolved forms you're going to find, I think. That's kind of my thought process right now. We'll see if that changes. And then something that's not really too important to me at all is the medal system. There are goals, like you can see on here: walk 10 kilometers, caught 10 bug Pokemon, caught 10 poison type Pokemon, etc., etc. There's a whole bunch of medals. They do give you experience though, so that is the biggest thing to really go for. However, they don't give you a whole bunch of experience. Not as much as I'd like to see. So sneak on over to this page here. You can catch Pokemon. It's pretty simple. You have them in your view, you hold the Pokeball with your finger and flick it in the direction of them. There are different factors when catching Pokemon. They'll jump, they'll attack and dodge, they'll run away after a certain amount of time, so it's almost like the actual game, really. There are items that impact, like the berries, if you can catch them well. And the nice thing that I really like is, one, the runaway feature, which you can see in the top left of this example here. You can run away from any battle, so if you see it and it's not the CP you want, or you've just seen it 5 million times like Pidgeys, don't even get me started, then you can just run away from it. The other nice feature, though, is you can turn the camera on and off. So you can turn the augmented reality function on or off when you're in these battles, which is nice when you're in, you know, an environment where you really don't want to look like a dumbass trying to catch a Pokemon, or when you can't really aim the phone in a certain direction that you need to, and you just need to like hold it in your lap and play. It's a really nice option to have, that you can turn that on and off whenever you need to. But basically, that's the essence of catching Pokemon. The higher the CP, the harder they are to catch, or the more likely they are to run away. And so you got to keep that in mind, but you do get the Pokeballs that upgrade as you go to make it easier as well. You can complete your Pokedex, self-explanatory, not going to really go into that. It keeps track of which ones you've seen, which ones you've actually caught, and then all the mystery ones left. Each Pokemon has traits, so you see in the top of this example is the CP level, along with the little rainbow shape, which shows you kind of the cap level where you're at, and compared to what their maximum CP can be. Gives you all the other information, which is nice, like weight, height. It tells you if they're extra small, extra large, extra tall, you know, all that stuff. It's kind of neat. You can see the power-up button. That's to increase their CP, which costs Stardust, which you collect when you catch Pokemon or you hatch an egg. And then Candy, which is essentially items you get every time you catch a Pokemon or transfer them. So if you get extra Pokemon, you can transfer them back to the professor and you get one of that type of candy back. It's basically a discard system, really is all it is. You also evolve in this same way. So you need a certain amount of candy of the lower level Pokemon's candy to evolve them. So Pidgeotto still uses Pidgey candy in order to evolve to Pidgeot, essentially. You also kind of see it cuts off a bit here. You get their attacks. Basically, one's a basic attack when you're in the gym fighting, the other's a special attack, which we'll cover here in a second. Pokemon evolution works just like it does in the game, pretty much. Once you get a certain amount of candy, turn that in, they evolve, they grow stronger, attributes change. I mean, pretty much self-explanatory. Pokemon eggs are my favorite function of the game for multiple reasons. The system itself, like, if you think logically, doesn't really make sense, but the system itself works really well, and it works just like it does in the games, which is also nice. So basically, when you get to Pokestops, you can find eggs eventually. They'll hatch into Pokemon. These eggs will tell you how far you have to walk before you can hatch that egg. So 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers, and 10 kilometers are the 3 types yet you can find. The nice thing about this is if you're in a car moving faster than 10 miles an hour, it won't register your distance. So you can't cheat the system that way, which is kind of nice. Kind of sucks because some people on bicycles can go faster than that too, and it doesn't register, but they've addressed the concern. It's just not on the priority list right now. But I like the idea that it's basically encouraging you to go out and walk and experience outside. And as someone who's a big gamer and doesn't go outside a whole lot, I have to admit it's been kind of nice to just go outside, go for a walk, and hatch some eggs, you know. The other thing that I like about eggs is you don't know what's going to come out of them. So it doesn't do the common sense thing like I mentioned before where, you know, like a bird or a water Pokemon will come out of an egg, you know. Anything could come out of an egg. Any Pokemon could. And Stardust sometimes. And I think items have a chance to as well. So in general, the higher level you get and the farther you walk based on your eggs, so 10-kilometer eggs are more rare than the 2s, etc., you get rarer Pokemon, and you get different types of Pokemon. So if you're in a community where you can't really get out to exotic locations, eggs are a good chance that you'll still find that Pokemon, which is kind of evens out that playing field a little bit. Real quick, teams. I'm sure everybody's at this point heard of the teams. It's funny that they're not named in this. That's pretty great. You know, they really have no importance besides just team-based ideas and community and all that. Otherwise, no significance whatsoever. Gyms can be claimed, so you can fight for gyms to control them. Once their reputation gets low enough, you can try and take out the gym, claim it for yourself, and then you can put a Pokemon to station up in that gym, and other people have to defeat your Pokemon to take control of the gym as well. You can have multiple gym trainers in there, I think up to 3 or 4 now, and then you have a gym leader, which is essentially the person with the highest CP Pokemon stationed. That's really how that works. You don't get to choose, you can just, it's an automatic system like that. But, you know, once you get 5 people in one gym, it gets really hard to take down that team. I don't know the exact specifics, because like I said, I don't do the gyms a whole lot, but as far as I know, you have to go through and knock down the gym reputation by beating the Pokemon a couple times. It's not like you just go defeat all the Pokemon in one run and the gym's yours. It's not always that easy, especially if they're higher CP than yours, because you can still defeat some Pokemon with higher CPs, and special effective and not effective applies in these battles as well. So playing those types can help you in those battles as well, but it's not super easy to control a gym, which I guess is a good thing. But you'll see them rotate between teams a lot, and you get bonuses for having Pokemon in these gyms, but I'm still not completely sold on that being a necessity, so to speak. So reputation, that's what I called it. I guess I've been playing too many other games. It's called prestige in this. Really the same thing, in my opinion. It basically determines how hard it is to take over the gym. So you can train Pokemon at gyms to increase its prestige, lose battles to lower it. you can see kind of here how many got defeated, blah, 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 blah. You can see the meter of how much prestige they have. When that hits 0, that's when you can take over the gym. Long story short. And you can also train in gyms that you have control of, which is all I've done. I haven't done the opponent gyms too much. So pretty much the point of gym training is to raise that prestige number, and that's what's essential for holding the gyms. So in my opinion, that's kind of where I make my impact with the team. We'll just leave it there. Attacking gyms, pretty self-explanatory. As you can see in here, you have your opponent's health bar, your health bar. There's another bar right below the health bar that shows your special meter. When that's filled and blinking or flashing, then you can unlock your second attack and use it, which helps a lot. But basically, you tap the Pokemon, the opposite Pokemon, or off of your Pokemon to do the basic attack, and then you press and hold your Pokemon to do the special attack and knock down their health. Every basic attack you do charges your special attack a little bit, so keep an eye on that, because there's some Pokemon where you just need to basic attack twice and then you can do a super attack. They all have different meters, some are broken up into segments, and that allows you to do a special attack more often. So paying attention to that is really key, because it's different per Pokemon. So if you plan on attacking or battling, I would go and find a gym that you can maybe do some practice with, one of your own gyms, so you can get used to that attacking mechanic. You can also swipe left or right to dodge attacks, and that's based purely off of really timing, in my opinion. If you learn how the opposite Pokemon attacks, then you can kind of know when to swipe and dodge it correctly. However, sometimes you still dodge and it still hits you. So the attacking system needs some work on, but I won't judge too much. And then defending gyms is, long story short, against your will, really. So you can't, when someone tries to attack your gym, you don't get a notification and any of that stuff. It just automatically attacks based on its defaults, and you just kind of have to hope it's strong enough that it can survive. Really, long story short. Hopefully that changes at some point, but it'd be really hard to well, yeah, it may not be too hard to implement that, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll cover this a little bit. In-app purchases, there's some goodies you can get that really help. So the lucky eggs are the thing I think are the most essential if you want to level up real quick. They basically double your experience for completing anything in the game. Hatching eggs, going to Pokestops, fighting in gyms, etc, etc. Even down to catching Pokemon, it doubles all that experience. So if you want to level up quick, I would spend $5 and get a couple lucky eggs. Go for a good run, and you'll level up 1 or 2 pretty quickly. I went through an entire level 15, which is about 15,000 experience in 3 hours of playing just because of lucky eggs. So, I mean, it helps. Incense, which I'm going to take a second to talk about, they basically lure wild Pokemon to you for a brief time. Both of these, Lucky Egg and Incense, last for 30 minutes. So does the Lure module while I'm talking about it. The interesting thing about the Incense, though, is it's recently been discovered that they're on a timing mechanism and a speed mechanism. So someone went into the code and found out that while you're sitting still, essentially, or not moving much, Incense will spawn a Pokemon every 5 minutes, on average. And so that was interesting. But what I found more compelling was they found that it will spawn 1 Pokemon a minute if you're moving at approximately 7.5 miles an hour. So, for people like me, that's basically running. And that doesn't excite me too much. However, if you think about it, if that coding's true, which I do plan on testing it here soon, if that is true, then you could catch 30 Pokemon in 30 minutes. And that would be amazing, teamed with a Lucky Egg, and increase your chance of finding more rare Pokemon. So, it has its benefit, but that's another way where it's trying to push you to go out and be active. But it's also going to encourage people to start using like skateboards and rollerblades and bikes and stuff to try and hit that. However, 10 miles an hour is the cap for when it registers distance. So there's some restrictions here and there, and you can play it really close and kind of cheat the system a little bit, but not really. But basically, I thought I would mention that so everybody could hear that if they hadn't already. It's something that I've been seeing on the Reddits go around as something pretty interesting, and nobody's disproved yet. So, and they've even posted the code pictures from what I'm assuming is the actual code. I wouldn't know, and it looks legitimate from the brief amount of coding I've done in my past. So, It'll be interesting. I do plan on testing it. We'll see how that goes. Egg incubators are needed to hatch the eggs. Long story short, you get one for infinite use. The others you have to buy and or get when you level up, and they have 3 uses before they break. Lure modules, I kind of covered that. They apply to Pokestops, attract Pokemon for every player. So Incense is just for you. Lure modules are for everybody, and it lasts for 30 minutes. And that one's not dependent on movement because it's location-based. So you have to be within the range of that Pokestop to get the benefits of the lure module. Bag upgrades and Pokeball packs, like I said, or bag upgrades and Pokemon storage upgrade. If you need space in your inventory, this is the way to do it. You can buy an upgrade to expand your storage limit by 50 items or 50 Pokemon at a time. It's like $2.50 to $3. Just guessing off a cost based on coin amounts. And then Pokeball packs. You can use Poke coins to get Pokeballs, essentially. I think it's 600 coins for 100 Pokeballs. That lasts me a good amount of time if I don't hit any stops. But if you play and hit Pokestops, you will pretty much never run out of Pokeballs. Up until I hit level 10, I had like 200 to 300 Pokeballs at all time. So it's not until you hit 10 that they start running away more often, and that's when you start losing your Pokeballs. So keep an eye on that. And that's the biggest one that I would pay for in a pinch basis. But as you get higher up, I've started to notice that you don't use them as much. Now that Great Balls are in effect for me, I've been kind of bouncing them based on the CP level of the Pokemon, so it's interesting. You can't buy Great Balls, though. You can only get them at Pokestops and leveling up. So, things to think about. I'm going to touch on this real quick. Pre-orders are out for this currently. I am not going to have one right away. I am waiting for the first batch. So I'm usually one of those people that doesn't jump on the gun right away for a lot of things. This is one where I'm going to wait to see how well it works, how durable it is, maybe get my hands on one at TwitchCon before I think about buying one. So the initial rush can go and sell out all at once, so I'm not super huge on it. It is $35 also, which I'm debating is worth the cost. I'm not really too sold on that either. But I think I just need to see it in person being used, or at least in videos being used, better to justify the purchase of it. I guess that's the most PC way to put it, I guess. Other than that, I'm not gonna use it much. So that's really about it. In terms of usage-wise, just to kind of recap, the game works better now. The servers are still hit or miss sometimes, but it is greatly improves from the first day it came out. So, and it releases in Japan tomorrow, so I'm expecting server issues like none other. So I'm just kind of riding the wave, and if there's stops along the way, I just won't play. It's fine, and I'll come back to it later and hope the servers are working. Like I said, it doesn't bother me too much, and I'm not so addicted that I have to play it every living second, especially since most of the stuff I need to do right now involves walking a lot, and sometimes I don't feel like walking a lot, or like right now I'm on vacation from work, so I really don't want to be walking a lot. It's easier when I get off work and go for a walk because I'm already in that physical mindset of working, but when I've been doing nothing all day, or just playing games or recording games or, you know, doing footage, the last thing I want to do is go out for a 3-mile walk. So, you know, I'm not that addicted to have to be out all the time, so if the servers have issues, then I just go do something else. It's not a big deal. It comes back eventually. They'll learn. It's Niantic. If it was any other company, I'd be hesitant, but they did one of the greatest geocaching apps that has ever come out for a smartphone, and so I have faith that they've teamed with Nintendo and Google, etc. will get what they need to improve the system for all of us. But right now they just need to focus on making the game available for the world so we can all play together, and then we can start nitpicking problems. Overall, 9 out of 10 is basically where I'm gonna sit at. It has room for improvements, but in terms of what it does on a base setting, it works fine for me now. Hopefully it gets a little bit better. There'll be some functions here or there that I really want to see them implement, and hopefully they do, and that might raise my rating at that time. But right now, you know, I've been playing so much of it. I really have. It's a great time. It's nice when I need to get out. It is nice also when I'm, frustrated or upset or depressed or something, and I just open the app and go out for a walk, and that just makes me feel better. That's always nice, and I've seen a lot of news articles on how it's helping kids with that problem, or even adults with that problem, and so it's good to see something that's nostalgia based, yes, but just something that encourages us to go out and get some fresh air and relax and put us back in the right mindset for life. So that's basically where I'm going to end this. Thank you guys all for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and like and subscribe, please. I appreciate all the support. Love you guys, and if you're going to be at TwitchCon, let me know so we can hang out, please. Thank you, and love you all. Bye.